Hello, I'm Natasha Chilingarian.
And I'm Michael Ogden. This is Shared Accounts with CU Times, sponsored this month by Boost.ai. Curious about how Boost.ai can revolutionize your credit union? Don't just wonder. See it in action. Schedule a demo today and experience the future of member engagement firsthand. Visit Boost.ai and take the leap. Okay, Natasha, producer Zach, I need you to come into the room. We are under a little bit of a deadline crunch with today's episode to turn it around. So I want us to play a quick game. We're going to play a quick 3 rounds of what I am calling words to describe our summer. All right. So basically, on the count of 3, we are all just going to blurt out a word that describes the summer we just had. And we're going to do that 3 times, kind of like a psychological experiment. You guys on board?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Are we all on the same page? So
Yeah.
I'll count 1, 2, 3, and then we'll blurt out a word. Okay.
So we blurt at the same time, like
We're
exact
blurred
same
at the same
time?
time.
Okay.
Yeah. I like chaos. This is fun.
Okay.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Spiders.
Jet lagged.
Okay.
sorry,
Jet
what
lag,
is it?
spiders. What was your Zach?
Hot.
Hot. Okay. Here we go again. 1, 2, 3.
Instagram.
Cocktails.
Again,
Okay,
poor Zach got
cocktails.
shadowed over.
Yeah, I know. I like it. Cocktails. What was yours, Natasha? Instagram?
Instagrammable.
And Zach, yours was?
Tired.
Tired.
Okay.
Okay. Last one. 1, 2, 3.
Enlightening.
Okay. This is what I want to talk about. So, Natasha, yours was, what was your last one?
Enlightening.
Enlightening. Okay. See, that's cool. Instagram.
Well, I went to a lot of Buddhist temples. I'm not a Buddhist. I'm just saying I'm on my vacation. So I was like,
Right. Okay. And Zach, what were your 3?
Hot, tired, and sober.
Oh.
Oh, that doesn't sound fun at all.
What do you think that says?
It was my first summer with a toddler.
There you
Oh,
go.
okay.
There you go.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think maybe this reveals that one of us is a parent of a young child and the others are not, or at least.
And mine was spiders, cocktails, and work. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's spider bites. You got bit by a spider.
I got bit 2 more times, by the way, since our last
You know what?
update.
I woke up with one this morning, so it's not just you. Maybe I should have said spiders too.
Crap.
I did.
So
I
it's
did.
going around.
Yep.
Well, I love that. I love this. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how our summers went in 3 words each. I love this. So let's get on to the show, turn this thing around. Welcome to Shared Accounts with CU Times. Coming up, we have an interview with Chase Tarkenton, SVP and General Manager of North America at Boost.ai. As journalists, sometimes you get into a situation where you should just stop and listen and learn, and that is the angle I took with my discussion about the fast-moving world of AI with Chase. Now, I wanted and needed to learn more about AI and credit unions. Chase was a great teacher, gave me exactly that. He'll give you that too. Also, he's a big Dave Matthews Band fan, as am I. All of that is coming up next. First up, we got to take a break from the week. Check in with Natasha. Hey, Ann, welcome home.
Hey, Em, thank you.
How was the trip?
Oh, gosh, yeah. Well, big question. It was a very long and tiring trip. Went to Southeast Asia. No, I would say overall, it actually went pretty well. We had a few mishaps. For one, there was a typhoon that hit Vietnam just as we were heading there. So we flew in right before it made landfall. So thankfully our flight wasn't affected, but we were just stuck in the hotel room for about a day and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and what else happened? Oh, my friend twisted her ankle, had to have a house call from a Thai doctor. That was quite an experience. And it reminded me of how bad the U.S. healthcare system is, because that happened here. They'd be like, well, just go to the ER, and then you get a bill for $5,000 or whatever.
$40,000.
Yeah. No, it was wonderful. My favorite experience was hanging with elephants. Like, we actually went to an elephant sanctuary and spent the whole day just kind of face to face.
That's amazing.
With them, and that was awesome.
Natasha, do you want to share your Instagram? handle?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. It is public. And so, yeah, I have quite a few pictures from the trip on my
Yeah.
Instagram. So it's just at Nat Chili,
Mm,
Natchili. So yeah, feel free
okay.
to give me a follow. I rarely update unless I'm doing something exciting, which is
Mhm.
maybe once every few months or so. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't do day to day. I'm not like a,
Yeah, yeah.
daily poster, but yeah,
Well,
sure.
producer Zach and I were paying attention to your posts, and I love the elephant stuff. That was
Oh,
really
thank
cool.
you. Yeah, it was
Okay,
just incredible. Anyway, yeah.
we were just waiting for you to get back for 2.5 weeks. Producer Zach and I, we're
Oh.
really glad you're back. But I do have to ask, we haven't checked in a long time, but what have you watched recently?
Yeah, so, well, obviously being on vacation, I didn't have my usual TV
Mhm.
watching routine, but I had lots of time on the airplane, and there was a pretty
Yeah,
good selection on the Cathay Pacific flights from
yeah.
the long flight I took was between Los Angeles and Hong Kong. So, yeah, I did watch a few movies.
Mhm.
One was A Quiet Place, Day One, which is the
Oh,
prequel, yeah, to
yeah.
the Two Quiet Places, and I thought it was great. It
Oh,
stars
fun.
Lupita, and I cannot say her last name.
I know who you're talking about. She's
You know who
great.
she is. Really great, and best cat actor from any movie I've seen recently. It's all about this cat and, like, oh my god, the cat cannot die. That was
Awesome.
my thought the whole time. That was good. Another one, this was on the way back. So, during the
Mhm.
trip, one place we visited was Angkor Wat in Cambodia,
Yeah.
and that's like a massive compound of ancient temples. It's really incredible. But while we were there, our tour guide said, "Oh, you have to go to the Temple of Doom temple and take pictures. Everyone loves taking
Uh-huh.
pictures there because it's from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom movie." And I was like,
Right.
"Oh, okay." And we just believed him, took all these pictures. I like put it on Instagram, like, it's the real Temple of Doom. And
Yeah.
then on the way back, I was like, "Oh, I should watch the movie." So they had the movie on the plane
Mhm.
and I watched it. And then at the end, I said, "Well, where was the Temple of Doom?" Like, I didn't recognize it. And then I Googled it later and it said, "No, it wasn't filmed there. It was filmed in Sri Lanka." So that was just a
Yeah.
rumor. And I was like, "Well, that was stupid." And I feel like I wasted my time watching that movie. I know I had watched it a long time ago, like
Yeah.
a child probably, but
Right.
I'm sorry, but what a racist movie. My jaw was on the floor. I was
Wow.
like, was this considered normal back then? Just
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, we don't need to get into a whole thing about that. I
Sure.
was shocked. It's how you
Mm.
feel watching a lot of, like, 80s and 90s movies now, where you're like,
Yep.
"Oh, that was considered okay back then." Okay.
There's
Anyway.
so much of it that does not age well at all.
Did not age well at all. So, anyway.
Mm.
So, yeah, those are kind of my highlights, and I know
Awesome.
you were stuck here, unfortunately, at home,
Yeah.
so what
Yeah.
what were some highlights? Like, what was your
I
favorite thing that you watched
couldn't
recently?
begin to go through everything. I was looking at my Letterboxd account. Again, people feel free to follow me if you want. It's just Michael Ogden on Letterboxd. But while you were gone, Natasha, I watched 13 movies.
Oh, wow.
So
Oh,
I have
longer
been
than I
plowing
am.
through a bunch of different stuff, but I want to point out one particular highlight which I revisited. I hadn't seen it since it was in theaters in 1999, and it was a fun watch at the time, but revisiting it for a second time was so awesome. And it
Oh,
was
yeah? What was it?
the Sixth Sense
Oh, yeah. I would have
with
to agree, yeah.
Bruce Willis,
Oh my
Haley Joel
gosh.
Osment. But if you forget about the whole reveal at the end, the whole movie is so wonderful and
Right.
emotional and touching. I'm
Oh.
like, this movie is so good.
Now, had you
And I
actually forgotten, like, fully forgotten the ending reveal
no,
when you go into it?
no,
Okay. But if you just don't think about it, 'cause I mean, I just that's the first thing I think of when I remember
yeah,
that movie, and I agree, when I saw it in the theater the first time, I remember being like, "W wow," just blown
yeah, yeah.
away, and I would always when you would do, like, little quizzes or cute, online on
Uh-huh.
Facebook or whatever, and favorite
Right.
movies, it would always that one was always, like, listed as a favorite movie of mine, so,
It's just
yeah.
so if remove the whole, twist at the end, but the
Right, yeah.
acting and the scenes and the emotions are just so it is a touching movie, and I just can't recommend it enough to revisit if you haven't seen it in a long time. It's so good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
Oh, that is awesome. No,
I'm
that's
not gonna go
really
through the other 12 I watched, while you were
okay,
gone, so
yeah,
I'm just gonna stick with that one.
we don't have time. Yeah, we'd have to do a
No.
separate episode just for that.
Yep,
But no, and I'm glad you had a nice experience with
it was
because it
great.
is rare, I think, these days to just really, like, just fully love a movie.
Oh,
There's so many
yeah.
disappointments, so
Mhm.
that's good.
I agree.
Anyway, well, let's go ahead and move on to the interview. So
Yep.
since, as you all know, I was traveling, I was on an airplane, I believe at the time when Michael conducted the interview
Yep.
with Chase with Boost AI. So I was not able to join, but I did listen to it in its entirety. I have to say, Michael, I really appreciated your honesty about really just not fully understanding what's happening with credit unions and AI or how they should be using it.
Hey,
And I think a
man,
lot of
I
people
I
feel
will
the way.
always
Mhm.
I will always point out when I don't know something, so but,
Yeah.
thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, but thankfully Chase, he did a really good job of, I
Mhm.
think, breaking down exactly what AI tools credit unions should be using and how those tools can help them. So he was very knowledgeable in that
Oh,
area.
yeah.
And then I really enjoyed you two had a fun discussion at the end of the interview that I think is guaranteed to get our listeners psyched up for Halloween,
Yeah.
which is only about a month away, believe it or not. It's kind
Yep.
of scary. So yeah, we have all that coming up next.
Hey, listeners, today's episode is brought to you by Boost AI, the leader in conversational AI for credit unions. Boost AI is your secret weapon for unbeatable member service. Want a sneak peek into the future? I do. So, mention the Shared Accounts with CU Times podcast when you talk to Boost AI for a customized demo. That's right, just mention this podcast, Shared Accounts with CU Times. When you talk with Boost AI, they will give you a customized demo. Don't settle for ordinary, experience the extraordinary with Boost AI. Joining me in the virtual studio today is Chase Tarkenton, SVP and General Manager of North America at Boost AI. Chase, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Michael. Good to be here.
Wonderful to have you. So, I want to get into this very beefy discussion about AI because honestly, I don't fully understand it. Credit unions are trying to understand it. Executives out there are trying all sorts of things right now. And I wanted us to kind of have a real kind of one on one about AI because this month we've had a lot of discussions about AI and the use by credit unions. I'd like to get your take on how you view the state of AI in the financial industry today. Basically, how do you see the AI world currently?
Sure. Well, first off, AI is a really big topic, and I think that
Hmm.
that creates a lot of excitement, but it also creates a lot of challenges for credit unions specifically to say, okay, I hear about it all the time. I'm being told that it can help my business. I'm hearing that we have to go about this in a very thoughtful manner, but gosh, where do I start? Right?
Right.
It's almost like dropping yourself in the middle of the Pacific and saying swim for land. You need to
Yeah.
know which direction you want to go and what makes the most sense. So what I think is great right now is we've finally reached this point where businesses and credit unions specifically have started to uncover what are those great opportunities to leverage AI to drive really meaningful impact in the business, whether that
Mhm.
be a better member experience, a better employee experience, and just making the business overall more efficient, more effective, and frankly, better at competing in the marketplace.
Yeah. So, do you view it as our current use of AI or the current state of AI? Because I feel like we've moved beyond the movies, and their depiction of it into kind of a real world grasping. Do you feel like people are kind of grasping the concept right now?
I do, and more businesses have self-educated, which is
Mm,
great. I think when ChatGPT hit the ground running, it really accelerated education for everyone, whether it's business leaders, consumers, et cetera.
yeah.
And from that, it's opened the door to have some conversations where folks can say, okay, we feel comfortable enough with this to get started, and then grow out from there and find out what makes sense for our business based on what we're looking to achieve. I think that while AI is very exciting, it's important to not let that be the narrative. It's a good starting point to get interested in some of the
Mhm.
opportunities that exist, but you have to move past the word AI to really boil it down to how do you drive impact? How do you improve the business? How do you
Yeah.
get faster, more efficient? And AI is just the underpinning of those capabilities. So while AI is interesting, I think the sooner that folks can move beyond being enamored with the buzzword, that's
Mhm.
when they're really seeing outcomes that are making the C suite as well as the board of credit unions very excited with what they've seen.
Damn, that's a really good point. Also, I think that's a great point about ChatGPT because I feel like it lit the fuse. AI has been around, but ChatGPT came in, let's say last year in a heavy duty way and really lit the fuse of like, oh gosh, we got to pay attention to this. I do want to ask kind of a baseline question of what we're talking about here. Can you explain generative AI?
If you go online and look up generative AI, you'll get a million different
Yeah,
variations.
that's why I'm asking.
So I love that you're asking it because you're stretching me to try and get better to explain this as well. So I'll give you my
Okay,
view
sure.
of what this is, and I think it's fairly on point. So if you just go by a basic definition, generative is a type of AI. So I think it's important to recognize that AI is a big topic.
Mhm.
Generative is just one type of AI. And this type of AI, it exists to create text, audio, images, etc. So really exciting stuff. It's underpinned by machine learning that is consuming data. It's learning from the data, recognizing patterns, and it's using that to predict a next step. And that next step is an output that is one of those types of media that I described. So
Mhm.
again, it could be in the form of a chatbot, it could be a virtual assistant, it could be a code generator, it could be
Yeah.
image generators. There's a lot of exciting outputs that come from this. But in the past, when you look at AI before generative came about, you really had to do a lot of work to train these models on your own data. And the data subset may have been a little bit limited when you compare it to, say, for example, a large language model
Mhm.
that's out there today, where you've got this massive index of information based on the internet that these models can learn from. But it's just one flavor of AI, but it's definitely the hottest flavor right now. And I think it's important for everyone to really understand what it is and how can you leverage it.
You know what, Chase? You did a really good job.
Thanks.
I like that quite a bit. Okay, I have a kind of a three-part question for you.
Sure.
First, what is AI enabling credit unions to do? Real simple, but also big question.
I go about answering this based on my background, being in the conversational AI space and where we're
Yep.
seeing credit unions really drive some outcomes. So right now, let's start with the trends that we're seeing in the space and how that
Okay.
distills down into where they're leveraging AI and getting some real results. So a few things. If you look at some of the data that comes out from McKinsey, since 2018, credit unions have had a really good run. I think based on their account, average deposits annually is about 8.8%. I think lending is about 9%.
Okay.
So that's been good, and then 2023 return on assets on average for credit unions, I think was in the 23 to 24, was down 23 to 24% on average. So a lot of increases in operating expenses, some labor challenges that are out there. And then you look at the member base that's out there. I think close to 40% of credit union members today are in the baby boomer category. So
Hmm.
we've got credit unions that are definitely working hard to attract that younger demographic to come in and continue to support the business and drive that growth. So what does all this mean? Well, credit unions are looking at AI to say, okay, how do we service this new generation of members that we're trying to bring in that
Hmm.
have a maybe bigger appetite for leveraging digital channels to check their bank account, sign up for a loan, do a credit check, et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera. So we're seeing some of these opportunities permeate into AI, whether it be a chat-based channel, texting, could be voice automation.
Hmm.
But regardless of the channel of choice and the desire to drive folks into the business from these different demographics, we're seeing folks that are coming in and they can successfully be authenticated and make transactions using chat or using voice in a fully automated setting. We're
Hmm.
seeing folks that can come in and say, hey, I want to check my balance. And oh, by the way, I want to make a payment on my boat loan. And the system is smart enough the AI is smart enough to recognize who they are and securely transact and recognize, okay, this individual has three loans and I can understand which is a boat loan and I understand what the payment
Yeah.
is and I can let them make the payment. And they can choose to do all of this without having to dial the main line, wait in
Yeah.
queue, go through a lengthy process. Not to say that that goes away, but it certainly is giving new avenues to engage with the credit union that historically have not existed. It's not all in the most sensitive fashions of moving money around, but those are
Hmm.
some examples of the complex use cases that are being done today with credit
Yeah.
unions that are out there, and they're doing it very successfully. I would say, in addition to that, hyper personalization is huge.
Yeah.
And there's a tremendous opportunity with AI to drive hyper personalization and have conversations with voice or chat virtual agents that are very human like. And They can be playful. They can have banter. They can speak in a tone that represents the brand promise of the
Yeah.
credit union. And it leverages data that you've already captured on those members so that you
Mhm.
can make it to where they feel like they're speaking with someone that already knows them.
Yeah, and, hopefully down the line, AI, you're talking about this hyper personalization, maybe it can convince members to not buy a boat.
Mhm.
It's such a pain in the butt to own a boat. That
Yeah.
would be my argument.
Yeah, I think we could definitely, we could see that happening, although I
Yeah.
don't I don't know if the credit unions would wanna deter someone
No.
from getting that boat loan.
Right, right. Don't buy a boat.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get a bit more granular with this because my second question is what is AI enabling credit union employees to do?
Yeah, this actually excites me because I am seeing
Great.
more and more credit unions talk about what it can do for the employees. And it wasn't until COVID that I think most businesses started having to face the music of how do
Hmm.
you really address attrition with your employees? How do you make the work more meaningful? How do you make it more interesting? How do you offer your employees a career path? And so with AI, what's really exciting about it is we are seeing employees that don't come from a data science background. They
Hmm.
come from virtually any job function within the credit union that you can imagine. But the technology has been democratized in such a way that folks can learn this and they can learn it pretty quickly now. And they can actually have a new job function within the business to where they're in charge of managing the AI strategy or managing being an
Huh.
AI trainer or being in charge of the virtual assistants or the chat assistants that are out there. We've seen this in some of the clients that we serve where someone was promoted from being a contact center agent to being contact center supervisor. And then they just took the initiative to understand AI and they moved into a position where they own that now. I mean, what a fantastic career path for anyone that goes that route. The other benefit that we're seeing for the employees is when you free up folks from having to handle mundane tasks, that's when humans are at their best. We've got these big brains, right? We should be using them to solve for high value, challenging
Hmm.
problems that exist within the credit union. So freeing up folks to leverage that brain power to put it to work. We're seeing that as well. And so it's definitely creating the efficiency gains. It's definitely giving folks the opportunity to create new career paths. And that's exciting. And as a result of that, a lot of credit unions are starting to see better retention rates amongst their employees. They're succeeding at bringing in recent college graduates, as an example, because they're more modern. And that's definitely part of the strategy playbook that's out there today.
Your point about the career path, the first point you were making there, I had not thought about that. And I'm also now excited. That's an incredible story I want to follow up on. I'm just now thinking about it and I'm really blown away by what you were talking about. Thirdly, in this three-part question, to get even more granular, what is AI solving for when it comes to credit union members? You hit on that a little bit.
There's a broad set of use cases that exist out there, and it's constantly growing. And credit unions, when they get started with just a couple of use cases, they're always coming back and saying, hey, we've thought of this or we've thought of that, or how can we evolve into handling this use case, which is exactly what should be happening. There's basic things out there. Where's the nearest branch location to where I am? What's the routing number?
Yeah,
How do I open a new card? What kind of services do you offer? What are interest rates right now? So there's the basic stuff that's out there.
sure.
That's not earth shattering. That's been around for a little bit, although, a number of credit unions may not be taking advantage of the technology to offload those types of inquiries to
Hmm.
an AI assistant. So if you're not doing that today, you can certainly get going on that pretty quickly. But taking it a step further, really it's getting into the use cases of, hey, I detected fraud on my card and I want to address this, or I want to turn that card off and get a new card.
Yeah.
Doing that without having to call in, or going through a bunch of web page, links and navigating your way to try and find it, as an example. Hey, I want to see the transactions on my card from the last 24 hours and being able to do that without having to log into your account to do so. Some folks don't want to do that, depending on the
Hmm.
circumstances. They could be traveling, they could have reasons for that.
Yeah.
It could be moving funds between accounts. All this can be done in a seamless fashion. So, the great thing about it, the use cases continue to expand.
Hmm.
And where we're seeing credit unions really drive impact is not just starting with the simple stuff. You should be doing the simple stuff. Contact center agents will love you for it, by the way. But if you go after the use cases that are focused on checking transactions, moving funds, making payments,
Yeah.
et cetera, that's where you really get into high impact use cases that the members really appreciate.
Let's talk about the AI human connection for a minute. We've spoken this month with credit union leaders about AI, and the biggest takeaway we've had is that they all really want to combine AI with a human touch.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on that, and how can credit unions accomplish this?
Yeah, it's an important balance to strike, and I think it's something that each business has to confirm for themselves what they want that to be, because let's face it, at the end of the day, not every request that's out there should be handled with AI.
Hmm.
There are times where you want that human connection. It's important for the member, it's important for the brand. So you do have to decide what works for you. So I can't say specifically, here's what it should be, but I
Yeah,
will
yeah.
say that we always guide our clients to have an escalation path. If someone wants to get out of interfacing with a virtual agent, whether it's voice, chat, SMS, what have you,
Hmm.
make it easy on them. Make it easy for them to get to a human and have that conversation. You'll find that as consumers, if we're fine with the channel that we're in and we're getting what we need, we'll stay there and we'll resolve it and we'll move on and that'll be fine. If we're not, we want to get to that human quickly. In all sorts of different businesses, it really comes down to, what level of empathy and human touch do you need?
Yeah.
But first and foremost, you need to see how far can AI take it? And then you can really decide for yourself, okay, at what point do we want the human to be involved with this? So I think when AI first came out, everyone was like, okay, this is going to replace humans. It's not. It may shift humans into different functions. It may free folks up to focus on different problems that they need to
Hmm.
solve. But I think to remove humans from the equation entirely would be a mistake. And that's something that I think most folks are finding, that coexisting humans and AI together is the optimal pathway.
All right. And you should maybe go back and listen a couple of episodes ago, one episode that just came out. We did talk about how some organizations, such as Verizon, make it really difficult to get out of their AI.
Mhm.
And it's really frustrating, but it's a really fun story if you want to go back to listen to that.
I actually did hear it. It's funny you bring that up.
Oh, have you had a Verizon issue?
Not a Verizon issue, but I'll share something with you that I
Please,
think it
please.
was interesting to me. I won't share the brand. I was working with a client. It was a non-credit union,
Okay.
and they were hyper focused on containment. Containment. And for folks that don't
Okay.
know containment, that's basically, a consumer comes into a channel to get what they want from your business, and you successfully kept them in that channel. And it
Ugh,
didn't escalate to a human, which is a more expensive channel.
yeah.
What I hear again and again from credit union, typically chief digital officers, and I love this, they'll say, we're less focused on containment. We want resolution.
There
And I
you
think
go.
it's important for the listeners out there, if you're not thinking about resolution, think about it. It will fundamentally change how you look at how AI services your employees and your members. Are you containing them, meaning you're basically trapping them in a channel, in an
Hmm.
experience, or are you resolving what it is that they came to get? And if you focus on resolution, your member experience will improve, your CSAT will improve. And here at Boost AI, we don't work with our clients on containment rates. If they want to measure that, that's fine.
Yeah.
We hold ourselves accountable to resolution rate. Did we accurately predict what they wanted? And did we successfully resolve it without them needing human intervention?
Mhm.
And if we do that, we're on the right pathway.
God, that's a brilliant point. Thank you for bringing that up. Containment resolution. Two pillars of thought, and I can kind of guess almost generationally which way decision might go, but we can talk more about that later. I do want to move on a little bit and ask about regulations. It's a tricky space trying to even explain AI to regulators, to lawmakers. They barely understand social media. But what's the regulatory landscape looking like right now for AI?
Yeah, there's a lot of talk. Nothing is hard coded right now. So I think
Yeah.
what everyone is doing is trying to monitor it closely and anticipate where could regulation go, and just trying to do the best you can to make sure that your business isn't caught flat-footed if something comes down from the federal government or state governments or what have you.
Yeah.
It is a real challenge, though, because it's such a broad topic and it's moving lightning fast.
Hmm.
And as we all know, government doesn't move quickly. And so tech is moving at a pace that government, I think, is struggling to understand. And I do think that regulation is important. And I do think that we need to find some way to regulate AI to make sure that it's not harmful, right?
Hmm.
Overwhelmingly.
Yeah,
But doing it in a way to where folks can still get the benefit. That's always kind of that balance, I guess, between
sure.
business and government. What I will say that I'm observing out there with credit unions specifically and businesses overall,
Yeah.
most businesses are creating committees right now to try and understand AI. Some of them call it an AI governance committee. It can take different names. And they're creating these task force to try and understand what it is, what are the benefits, what are the potential risks,
Hmm.
and just how do you make sure that you're mitigating this? How do you make sure that you are being responsible with the use of AI? How do you make sure that it's honoring the brand promise, that it's compliant, that
Yeah.
it's protecting your customers, your members, it's protecting your employees, it's protecting your business? That's happening rapidly right now. And I think
Hmm.
that's the right approach. I think that many of the AI committees that are out there are still playing catch up on this space because it is moving so quickly. But if you've got good vendors and good partners out there, you should include them in that discussion because I think they can definitely help to say, okay, look, we live and breathe this. We're always looking around the corner. Here's what we're seeing. Let us empower you to take this information and make good business decisions out of it.
So, looking ahead slightly, because I know it's very difficult to look ahead in this industry, in this particular part of the industry, but what should credit unions maybe expect from AI in 2025?
I think more and more from a conversational standpoint with AI, we're going to see personalization go to a new height. I
Mm.
think members more and more are going to feel like they're picking up the phone or they're picking up a chat channel and they're speaking with an agent that they've known for a very long time. And I think that's a good thing. So we're not even getting that, honestly, when we call businesses today and call into the call center. It's just operationally, it's really difficult to have that level of understanding about everyone that calls in,
Yeah.
existing customers, existing members. But I do think that the technology exists today to where we're going to see more and more personalization that we really appreciate. That's going to make our human mind say, I like this. Like, this feels good. Like, this is a good experience. I feel like I'm talking with someone that knows me. They
Mhm.
remember the last conversation. They're being proactive in the service. So, if you know that I have a teenager and they're eligible for a new account, you're being proactive and saying, hey, I see that a family member is now eligible for a new account. Would you like to talk about that? Those are things that are helpful. So I think we're going to see more and more of that hyper personalization go to another level.
Yeah.
I think the number of use cases that are going to be out there, some folks are talking about full automation of getting a loan, and just moving through that whole process faster and more seamlessly. All these
Hmm.
things are being worked on right now to make it to where if that is the pathway that you want as a consumer, it's available to you.
Yeah.
The ability to trigger actions in these communications. So everything that I'm talking about requires interfacing with different IT systems on the back end, whether it's a core banking system or integrating and leveraging your CRM or leveraging, your lending platforms, et cetera, et cetera. The ability for all these systems to communicate with one another, it's already happening today, but it's going to happen at a more rapid scale that allows you to achieve higher resolution rates, getting back to the
Yeah.
original point. That's really the starting point, I think. And I will tell you, beyond 2025, if you know what this space is going to look like, please share it with everyone. But it is something to where I think all of us in the space are trying
Yeah.
to shape it in a meaningful way. But we do have to keep the door open for changes. I
Mhm.
mean, look what OpenAI has done in such a short period of time. It's
Yeah.
remarkable.
It
No
is.
one has seen anything like this in the history of innovation.
Well, and also look at Apple. What are they going to do with it?
Hmm.
They just had the announcement of their new iPhone coming out later, and there's such an AI component to it. I'm watching them personally. You're right. We don't even know what this is going to look like in December of this year.
Right. It's an opportunity, but it's also a challenge because if you're running a business today, you're trying to make a decision on how do I take advantage of the technology because you have to, candidly. If you want to remain competitive, if you want to serve the needs of your members, you have to take action. But you want to take action in a way that leaves the door open, that you can pivot in a
Mhm.
meaningful way should you need to.
Is there anything that you can say publicly that maybe you're excited about that hasn't been made public yet? About how the use cases are coming into light? like how this is going to be used?
I'm excited about the innovation that's coming out. There's a lot
Yeah.
of interesting tech that's going to come out, and businesses are testing these constantly in really controlled fashions, which I think is great. What excites me more than the tech is seeing credit unions specifically taking advantage of these opportunities.
Hmm.
If you look at the numbers, banks have been on the forefront of adopting digital technologies underpinned with AI to interact with their customers. The data shows that credit unions have been a little bit slower to adopt
Yeah.
some of these technologies. And we've seen the shift with Gen Z consumers, as an example, moving slightly more towards banks overall than they have credit unions. That's all changing now, though. And the credit unions are really starting to adopt these technologies. So I think what's more exciting for me is seeing that there's a belief and there's an opinion about what these technologies can do. And then when you execute and you operationalize it and it's deployed within the business, and you've got a credit union that stood up a fully functional chat virtual assistant that can do the work of 60 or 70 full time employees. And
Hmm.
it took them 4 weeks to stand it up and get it going. And you see their eyes light up being like, oh my gosh, this is real. This does work. That to me is what's exciting. I think technology wise, how human like the conversations are getting
Yeah.
to where you can take that conversation in 10 different directions, multiple topics, multiple intents. You can converse with virtual agents in the way that you and I would converse, right?
Yep.
That to me is really exciting because we are seeing that type of experience come to light and it's getting better and better and better. And the more human like it can be, the more effective it will be. But what's really important is to make sure that we make the distinction. We are not trying to trick people into thinking that they're speaking to a human. We want it to be human
Yeah.
like. We're not trying to deceive people and to make them think that they are speaking to a human. I think it's important to call that out.
Fantastic. All right, Chase, we're going to move on to the second part of the interview, which is not about AI. It's about Chase, just about you. Okay, Chase, are you ready?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right, first question. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Go Tar Heels.
Sure. Do you go back and visit?
I do. Yeah. My family, I've still got family that lives there. So, we go back every couple times a year and big fans of going to the Outer Banks, the beaches out there in the Carolinas. So we
Oh,
always zip out there too and enjoy that in the summertime.
so great. This next question, it really is aimed now at your geographic location as a kid because I grew up in the South. What was your first Halloween costume in North Carolina
Oh, in North Carolina.
when you lived there?
Yeah, my first Halloween costume ever, I was dressed up like a spider, and I say that specifically I was dressed up as, I didn't have a choice in that, but
Okay.
it was actually pretty cool. It was like this hat that had these legs coming off the side, and then I
Okay.
had this, like, poncho that had glow in the dark cobwebs all over it, and I think I
Oh, that's
I
fun.
think I wore that for a good 2 or 3 Halloweens until it wouldn't fit anymore.
Fantastic. Because we are approaching Halloween coming up. Then I want to ask, what was your favorite candy?
Favorite candy? Reese's Buttercups.
Do you like the pumpkin shaped ones?
I have never had the pumpkin-shaped ones. I'm a big fan of the Easter egg-shaped ones. But
Oh,
in
yeah,
in my
very similar.
yeah, in my house, though, like, we've all got the same candy, so if I bring that home, I do have to hide it. My
Okay.
wife and son will eat it immediately, so there's a little bit of Hunger Games going on
Of,
in the house there.
of course. Okay, back when you were wearing the spider costume as a kid, what would be the candy you would want to trade at the end of the night?
That I'd wanna get rid of?
Yeah.
I don't know, probably one of the more obscure ones like Baby Ruth or what is it,
Oh,
like, 100 Grands or
100 grand? Okay.
yeah, some of those, which funny story, now that I'm
Please.
a dad, I've got a 10-year-old son. Those are the candies that when I raid his candy bag at the end of the Halloween night, I actually really like those. So maybe I shouldn't have been trading those after all.
Maybe. I would say licorice is a hard trade. Just, yeah,
Mm,
get rid of that crap.
yeah, good
No,
call.
thank you.
Good call.
Okay, Chase, what was the first album you ever bought or listened to regularly?
Oh man, probably Dave Matthews, Under the Table and Dreaming or Crash, one of those
Oh,
2.
great pick. Great
Yeah.
album still.
Yeah, still got them. I
I
don't
love Dave
even
Matthews.
yeah, they're still doing what they do. I see them every other year just about.
Oh my God, where do you catch them?
They always seem to be coming through Nashville, so there's always a music festival, so I'm a huge
Sure.
music fan. I love playing guitar. My wife and I, love going down to New Orleans for Jazz Fest, every
Oh
year,
man.
and in Nashville, pilgrimage festival. So
Yeah.
so Dave Matthews and Tim Reynolds, they come and play. And
Sure.
it is funny though, because when Dave Matthews first got started,
Mhm.
you could look at the cars on the street, I joke, and you'd see the Dave Matthews sticker on the back. And it was usually like a Jeep Cherokee, or
Yeah. Yeah.
now it's a
Yeah.
minivan. So I laughed and told my wife, I was like,
Right.
I said, I guess we're getting older, because the cars with the Dave Matthews stickers,
Oh, that's
they're
funny.
not Jeep Cherokees anymore. They're all like minivans and
Oh,
cars like
yeah,
that.
we're all getting old.
Yeah, exactly. But that's all right. It happens.
It does. Can I tell you a quick Dave Matthews Band story?
Yeah, sure.
I was where was I? I was at Ohio State finishing up college.
Hmm.
And it was right before Under the Table and Dreaming came out. They were performing, I was walking home from work. They were performing in the backyard of a fraternity.
Oh my gosh.
I did not know who it was, but I stood there and watched them for a while going, oh, these people are good. And then I later found out it was Dave Matthews Band. So,
That's great. That's great. I thought you were going to say, you were like, oh, they'll never make it.
oh, no, I love them. I think they're great.
Yeah.
What was the last movie you watched?
In movie theaters or at home?
Wherever. Yeah.
I think the last movie I watched was at home. I watched Beetlejuice with our son.
The first one, I
But
assume.
for the first Beetlejuice, yeah. So, all the commercials right now have been coming out about Beetlejuice 2.
Yep.
And, he's like, Dad, I'm super, that looks like a really good movie. We should go see it. I'm like, son, you can't go to Beetlejuice 2 if you haven't seen Beetlejuice 1. Let's get a good foundation here. So we, last movie was Beetlejuice.
What do you think?
Oh, he loved it.
Oh, that's fun.
He's a big fan of, what's the director's name? I'm forgetting it.
Oh, Tim Burton.
Yeah, Tim Burton. So, we all love Tim Burton movies. And so he immediately loved it and thought it was hysterical. And so we've probably watched it 15 times since then, which I don't know that I need to see it that much, but
no,
I'm well caught up on Beetlejuice at this point.
Well, let us know what you guys think about Beetlejuice.
Yeah, don't say it a third time.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, finally, Chase, where can people connect with you if they want to get a hold of you?
Sure. So I'm on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active there. So if folks want to connect, they can always do that. Folks can reach out to me through my work contact as well. I don't know if you want me to share that here or if that would be shared afterwards.
Oh, go right ahead.
Yeah. First name, last name at Boost.ai. So it's chase.tarkenton at Boost.ai. Shoot me an email. Always do my best to respond. And if you lose it somehow, hit me up on LinkedIn. And I'm pretty good about checking that as well.
Fantastic. Chase, thank you for joining us today.
You bet. Good chatting with you. Thanks for the time.
Absolutely. Everybody, that is Chase Tarkenton, SVP and General Manager of North America at Boost.ai. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So for our listeners, please subscribe to Shared Accounts with CU Times anywhere you get your podcast. You know how this all works, and if you want to rate us, we'd love your feedback. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to email Natasha over at nchillingarian@cutimes.com or myself at mogden@cutimes.com. Also, thank you very much to Boost.ai for sponsoring the podcast this month. Transform your operations, wow your members, and leave your competitors in the dust. Boost.ai, because ordinary is just not good enough. Thank you so much to our producer, Zach Nyheisel. Thanks, Zach. Join us again next week for a new episode of Shared Accounts with CU Times. Until then, thanks for listening.